Hey, Pentagrin. Open up. The choo-choo train's coming. Open up. Because I'm about to give you a taste of your own medicine. Well, this situation just got a lot more interesting. Pentagrin and Atari both made videos called Stay Away from Spoctor Theory. And we all know how that went down. Everyone unsubscribed from Spoctor Theory in the masses. He lost like 10,000 subscribers. Oh man, because he was a sexual predator. Oh geez. Then Stories released her video about the whole situation. And then Sprocket came in, the adult, 26 years old, came to the rescue and disproved everything to prevent a 17-year-old kid from being accused of being a sexual predator. And then I made a video called Spoctor Theory Isn't That Bad. And then several other people made videos. There was one with MANGAKAMEN and Just a Robot. JACKOON made a video. And then the whole situation made a 180 after those videos. Then I was contacted by a very special person who I will not name yet, but I will later in the video, who sent me some very, very interesting screenshots. And I had planned to make a video addressing these screenshots. And I wasn't gonna talk about them until this video that you're watching now went live. But Pentagrin came back out of her playpen to Twitter, totally ignoring the whole Spoctor situation, didn't even acknowledge it. So I decided to tweet at Pentagrin, and I said, who let you out of your playpen and back onto Twitter? So are you just gonna ignore the fact that you falsely accused someone of being a child predator, or ... No response. And so I saw some screenshots of her saying on DeviantArt that she was planning on making another video addressing the Spoctor situation, saying that some of it was still true and some of it wasn't true. Yeah, I had to put a stop to that, so I did use some of these screenshots earlier than I wanted to, and I tweeted to Pentagrin, hey, Pentagrin, this is how you use screenshots as proof effectively with full context. Vid coming soon, winky face. And inside, we have Pentagrin saying, hey, we're gonna start compiling evidence against Spoctor. The reason that I circled this, I didn't really explain it in this tweet, it shows that Pentagrin had it in her mind she wanted to take Spoctor down before having any evidence. That's called confirmation bias, Pentagrin. When you already have an idea of how someone is and what you want to do to them, and then you find evidence after already deciding what you're gonna do to back up what you think, that's called confirmation bias. You already hated Spoctor Theory. You already wanted to take him down. You decided that you wanted to take him down without any evidence. And you just wanted to find evidence to support your claim. So, confirmation bias. Okay, the next one. All of this fighting for a 9-year-old, talking about Stories allegedly being 9 years old. It's proven not true now. Well, no, I'm just looking for any excuse to go for the throat. I've been waiting for it for a while. Wow, Pentagrin. Really shows how classy you are right there. You're not a snake in any way whatsoever, right? You're just, what a great person. And also I would like to address, Pentagrin says Pega will have a lot of dirt on him as well. I just recently learned who Pega is. Pega is not involved in this at all. Please don't go after Pega at all. Pentagrin was being a dumbass here, as usual. Pentagrin was being a dumbass. Pega never got involved in the situation. Don't go after Pega. Pega's just fine. Pega's a very nice person. Never ever went after Spoctor. Never provided any evidence or anything. Doesn't have any dirt on Spoctor. So I just wanted to make that very clear. And then the next one on my tweet, I couldn't tell if he was joking or not. But the good dude decided to confirm. Lamau, I want to drag him down. Honestly, he's gotten away with a lot. Yeah, that totally sounds like someone who's doing the right thing. When you say, I want to drag him down. That's totally. Sound like you're fighting for the right cause, Pentagrin, definitely. And since I've made this tweet, Pentagrin has disappeared from the face of the earth. I've been into contact with Atari, because Atari is the only freaking sane one of the three. I'll explain that in just a second. There's a lot to this video, there's a lot. I'll explain that in just a second. Atari said, you know what I just realized? Penta vanished the night of the tweet you made about her, PK. I mean, she was already gone, but ever since then she's been avoiding, like, actually everything. So Atari had been talking in DMs with Pentagrin a little bit after the situation, but according to Atari, she just disappeared and stopped responding to everything after I made the tweets. And also, according to Atari, every time that she tried to talk to Pentagrin about this whole thing, she goes off topic or doesn't reply. So Pentagrin has been avoiding any talk of the Spoctor situation. And then when I made my tweet, she just disappeared. What a little bitch. This is example 1 of Pentagrin being a hypocrite. Every time Pentagrin is a hypocrite, you will see this icon on your screen, and there will be a little counter next to it to show you how many times Pentagrin has been a hypocrite. This is number 1. Pentagrin literally said that Spoctor would just go on hiatus and ignore the situation and then come back later as if nothing had ever happened. That's exactly what Pentagrin did. Pentagrin went away from all social media after Ponder posted her video. It was actually a day before, but I'll explain that in just a second. Sprocket contacted Atari and Pentagrin before uploading her video to talk to them about her issues with their videos. So Pentagrin did talk to Sprocket before taking her video down. As you can see, Very Metal, who is Pentagrin, is in this conversation with Sprocket. This was on 420. Blaze it. Sprocket's video went up on April 25th, and Pentagrin removed her video on April 24th. So, after hearing Sprocket's criticism of her video, Pentagrin had a hiatus and then came back to Twitter as if nothing had even happened and didn't even acknowledge the situation. And then when I called her out for it, she went away again. She's doing exactly what she said Spoctor would do, being a hypocrite. I have hundreds of screenshots. Hundreds of screenshots. I'm not gonna go through them all because that would take frickin' forever, but I am going to put a link in the description down below where you can download all of this information that I'm using on this video and all the information I didn't use on the video. You can look through every single screenshot yourself and decide for yourself all of this. I'm gonna go through the most important screenshots and tell you the timeline of the entire situation as best as I can. There is some interesting stuff in here. I tell you what. Let's begin the timeline from the very beginning, shall we? The earliest conversation that I have regarding Spoctor is between MimiDiggz and Pentagrin on 1/9/2018. That's January 9th, 2018. So we already have proof right here that Pentagrin's video was not full of misinformation because she wanted to rush to get it out. She'd been planning it since January. Maybe even earlier, but this is the earliest screenshot that I have. So don't even come at me with that bullshit, Pentagrin, that you wanted to rush to get the video out so people were aware of this. That's why you had so much misinformation. That's why the video seemed rushed and it wasn't professional looking. You've been planning this since January, you dumbass. Like I explained earlier, hey, we're gonna start compiling evidence against Spoctor. She already had it in her mind that she wanted to go after Spoctor before she had any evidence. She decided to go find evidence to prove her idea that was already in her head. Disgusting. The whole reason that Pentagrin was so involved is if you look down just a little bit, did you see that shitty, oh my god, Stories is an 8 video that was uploaded last night? From Just a Robot. Stories is not 8 and Pentagrin is stupid. Both of those things are true. Pentagrin is a dumbass and Stories is not 8. No, I haven't viewed it yet. Give me a summary if it's long. And then she points out this comment from Spoctor that just says thanks. That is literally the reason that Pentagrin hates Spoctor theory so much, is because he didn't believe that Stories was 8. But Stories isn't even 8. It's just really funny because Pentagrin got so involved in this because she hated the fact that Spoctor did not believe that Stories was 8 because Pentagrin was so convinced that Stories was 8 because she's a dumbass. And that led to this. And Stories isn't even 8. It's just so funny. It's just so funny. It's beautiful. Let's see if this innocent bastard tries lying about his age when it's revealed that he's a minor begging for porn. Pentagrin, you're 19 years old. You are an adult, grown woman, and you are trying to make a child look like a sexual predator. You are disgusting, is what you are. You're disgusting. And you're doing it completely out of spite because he didn't agree with what you thought. So do I collab with me? I don't know. I would love to address how Stories isn't 8, but nobody would listen because they're brainwashed. She's actually 9. So Pentagrin is literally brainwashed. Spoctor was right. She believed that Stories was actually 9. She believed it. But here's the thing. Before Pentagrin's video even went up, Atari says, referring to Stories, you could be 19, 14, 20, and it still wouldn't be justifiable. That rebuttal can only negate your argument that he's a pedophile, Atari. Middle option, but yes, I will name drop him. This is Stories. Middle option, 14. Literally admitted to being 14. And Pentagrin knows that she's 14. So, I mean, how does it feel to be wrong? First of all, Pentagrin, you usually are wrong. But second of all, how does it feel to have started all this drama and falsely accuse someone of being a sexual predator just because they said something you didn't agree with? And it's been proven that you were wrong in the first place. How does it feel to have all this come from just that? I bet you feel like a dumbass, because you are a dumbass. And don't worry, we're gonna get into all this talk of pedophile and everything coming up shortly. There's a lot to go through. Just stick with me, all right? There's a lot to go through. Here's Pentagrin being an idiot again. Let's be honest here. If it's perfectly fine to accuse Stories of being a teenager, then I can stand there and say Spoctor is 16 with no repercussions. Accuse Stories of being a teenager? Is that... what? Accuse Stories of being a teenager? Is that a crime to be a teenager? Are you dumb? Are you retarded, Pentagrin? My God, Stories is literally 14 years old. You fell for the bait, Pentagrin. Stories knew how easily fooled this community is and decided to lie and say that she was 8. And you freaking took the bait because you're a moron. You're a moron. You believe everything a ranter that you like says. You believe everything. That's why you made the video about Spoctor, because you believed all the accusations without any actual evidence. Because you're a moron. You believe everything you hear. And also, this just shows that you know that Spoctor was 16. So, trying to make him out to be some sort of child predator when he's 16 years old is just, it's just disgusting. It's just disgusting, is what it is. You're a 19-year-old woman, a fully grown 19-year-old woman, and you're going out trying to make this kid look like a sexual predator. You're one of the most disgusting people I've ever encountered in my entire life, Pentagrin. You're disgusting. That is basically the whole conversation summed up that Pentagrin and MimiDiggz had before the Spoctor videos. Now, if you go through some of these screenshots here, it brings up the whole transphobia thing again. So let's go through this whole transphobia thing. I made sure that I contacted Spoctor for clarification on all of this, and I even did it while Atari was watching. I'm in a group conversation right now with Spoctor and Atari, and every interaction I've had with Atari, Spoctor has been there to make sure that Atari didn't say anything that was totally untrue. You know what I'm saying? So I asked Spoctor, I said, second thing I need clarification on, here's how I understand what happened. Correct me if I'm wrong. Pega was a trans admin on your Discord server. Ash Entropy said transphobic things to Pega. At first you said you didn't want to get involved, but you did eventually put a stop to it. Ash Entropy continued to harass Pega outside of your server, and there was nothing you could do because obviously that's out of your control. Correct. Absolutely, that's exactly my thinking. So on and so forth. So basically, to sum that up, there was someone on his server who was saying very transphobic things to one of his admins. Spoctor at first decided not to get involved, but then eventually did put a stop to it, and then Ash Entropy went off of Spoctor's Discord server to other websites that Spoctor had no control over and kept harassing Pega there. There was nothing that Spoctor could have done, and that is why some people are calling him transphobic, and that's ridiculous. So those screenshots are there, and I wanted to explain those and address those because someone might look at it and be like, oh, Spoctor's actually transphobic. No, he's not. Not at all. Now, like I said, I got into contact with Atari. Atari wanted to talk, and I said, yes, let's talk. Because unlike Pentagrin and Stories and Atari, who didn't ever talk to Spoctor before making the videos, I am absolutely willing to talk with the other side before making my video just to make sure that I hear their side. So I talked to Atari, and Atari has been absolutely amazing to work with. Absolutely amazing to work with. She's been nothing but fully compliant with everything I've asked her to do. She's given me every piece of evidence I've asked for. She's explained everything I've asked her to explain. It's really night and day between Atari and Pentagrin and Stories. It's night and day. I'll get more into that later. The important thing right now is that Atari was in a group chat with Pentagrin and Stories dedicated to digging up evidence on Spoctor. And you know what Atari did when I asked her to do it? She kicked Pentagrin and Stories from that group and added me and Spoctor to that group so we could go through and look at all of it. So let's go through some stuff that I found. The entire chat, I went through and I filmed myself scrolling through the entire chat. You can view that in the files, all right? You're gonna have to pause it a lot, but the whole chat is there. It's just me scrolling through the whole thing if you wanna read the whole thing. But I screenshotted the most important stuff. So we're gonna go through the most important stuff right now. So before we get into this, I want to explain what I discussed with Atari, all right? Atari is 15 years old, so 1 year older than Stories, but Atari is like 99% more mature than Stories is, and more mature than Pentagrin is, by a lot. Pentagrin acts like a 3-year-old because she's a little baby. Atari was friends with Pentagrin and Stories, and trusted what they said about Spoctor. She believed that he was actually a bad person. She thought she was doing everything with the best of intentions. That's what she told me, and I believe her. I believe her. I believe that she did really think that. She really did think she was doing the right thing, and she realizes her mistake. She realizes that she used evidence that wasn't solid, that the video was rushed. She realizes that she made a big mistake, and she's never gonna do it again, is what she told me. And I totally believe her. I totally believe her. When we go through these screenshots, you'll see stuff like Atari changed the name of the group to Lizard Will Burn. You know, that kind of stuff that's just her interacting with Pentagrin, who she thought was her friend, right? I don't think she actually wanted to watch the lizard burn like Pentagrin and Stories did. I think Atari was doing that as a joke. Pentagrin and Stories, on the other hand, I think they wanted to watch the lizard burn. We'll get into that very shortly. They really wanted to watch him just go down. We've already proven that Pentagrin wanted that. And you know, Atari says stuff like, go ahead and send everything you have, send everything that will demonize him more. You know, Atari told me that this is her thinking that he's actually a bad person and whatnot. I think it's more so a mob mentality type of thing. When you're with your friends, you tend to believe what your friends say. If all your friends get riled up about something, you tend to get riled up about it too. So if Pentagrin and Stories are all like, oh, take down the lizard man, I could imagine that Atari would be doing the same, would be convinced to think the same way without even realizing it. That's what I think, and I do believe her when she says that she thought that he was a bad person. So it's not up to me to tell you how to believe. That's just that's how I see it. That's why everything is going to be downloadable in the description, so you can go read through it all yourself. Because I'm not Pentagrin, I'm not Stories, and I'm not Atari. I'm not going to tell you how you should feel. I'm going to provide what I see as the evidence. I'll tell you how I feel and let you make your own decision. But it is a fact that Pentagrin is a moron. As you would see if you read through the whole chat that I've recorded for you to look at, Stories is playing the victim. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared of Spoctor. He's so mean, sexually harassing me and whatnot. During this conversation and during the making of their videos, she was still talking to him. Right here. I said something innocent, and I think he did some weird shit. Today at 7:44 p.m. This was the 17th of April, the day before Pentagrin and Atari's videos went out. She was still freaking talking to him. If she really thought that he was sexually harassing her, don't you think that she would have, like, stopped talking to him? You know what I'm saying? Atari and Pentagrin saw this. They saw that it's posted in the group. They didn't even question it. So it's very clear to me that Stories is a little sneak. A little sneaky sneak. Thinks that she can get away with framing someone. We'll get into that later. Here is another instance of Stories saying something totally stupid, but just know my responses are like the complete opposite of how I was feeling. She literally admits to responding to Spoctor with the exact opposite of how she's feeling. She's claiming that she felt harassed, but she's telling Spoctor, oh, she's egging him on, like, continue. That's not how you... That's not, like, that's ridiculous. What Stories is doing here is the equivalent of this. If I asked some bitch, hey, would you like to have sex? And she said, yes, even though she actually didn't want to, and then later after having sex, tried to get me on rape, that's what it would be like, even though she literally said yes. That's what Stories is doing here. Lying about how she's actually feeling. How the hell is Spoctor supposed to know that you're lying? You're literally lying to set him up. That's what you're doing, Stories. We'll get into that in just a second. We'll get into the whole setting Spoctor up thing in just a second. It's freaking juicy as hell. Just you wait. And I cannot believe that Pentagrin and Atari didn't even question this. This is such a huge red flag. They didn't even question it. Also, Pentagrin likes to go on and on about transphobic, but she said the word nibba. She's racist. Pentagrin is racist. Pentagrin is just totally obsessed with bringing Spoctor down. Just think that each message is gonna bring him down farther. She's just obsessed with it. Like an evil mastermind. She's obsessed. It's absolutely insane. Now this is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in this screenshot right here. Okay, so I sent the fake image, right? He doesn't fucking say it's wrong until I say it is. I'd love to see those legs open up. You don't gotta give a good angle. You can let me see stomach shot, IDC. That's so out of my comfort zone. And then here's the totally out of context thing right here. I mean, Stories is literally, I've already explained all that in my previous video. If we look right here, Story says, I think he was trying to get me to send nudes, so I tossed some random porn images at him, and he took the bait, y'all. Do you know what this means? This means that Stories sent nudes to Spoctor before Spoctor ever sent anything to Stories. And there is still no proof that Spoctor ever sent nudes to Stories. But Stories just admitted to sending nudes to Spoctor, even though they weren't her own. She sent fake nudes. She used porn and sent Spoctor that to get him to send her nudes so that she could use that against him. What a freaking horrible person. That's just disgusting. That's the most disgusting thing. She tried to set him up. It's just disgusting. It's disgusting. And there's more with Stories coming up. My God. I sent the fake image, right? He doesn't say it's wrong until I say it is. You literally sent him porn. What do you mean? He doesn't say it's wrong until I say it is. You're playing along with it. You're literally trying to get him to send you nudes. What do you mean? Of course he thinks you're okay with it because you're literally doing to him what you want him to do to you, which is send nudes. What do you mean? I said that 3 times. 3 fucking times. I'm not comfortable means stop. Once again, Stories, you're talking about these screenshots here. I'm not comfortable with doing that. Stories has had several name changes, but it's the same messages. Okay. I won't make you do something you're not comfortable doing. Thank you. She just totally left that out right here. I'm not comfortable with doing that. She totally left it out here and said, I said that 3 times, 3 fucking times. I'm not comfortable means stop. She's lying. She didn't say it 3 times. She said it once. And he said, okay, I won't make you do something you're not comfortable doing. She's trying to make him look just horrible by leaving out the fact that he said, okay, I'll stop because you asked me to stop. What a disgusting person Stories is. What a disgusting person. They can't really prove me wrong. They can't prove an experience wrong. Only rebuttal I can think of is people saying you aren't 9. But even if they say that, it still doesn't justify what Spoctor did. You're name dropping him, aren't you? You could be 9, 14, 20, and it still wouldn't be justifiable. That rebuttal can only negate your argument that he's a pedophile, Atari. It looks like Pentagrin is implying that Atari should not mention how old Stories is. If she did mention how old Stories was, it would totally disprove their argument that he's a pedophile, right? So Pentagrin's being a little evil little mastermind here. Middle option, but yes, I will name drop him. He still did what he did though, and Stories has always insisted that she's 9. Exactly. No one has proof or evidence of it otherwise. I'm not Stories anymore. I'm tired of it, man. Here's the deal. Basically what's happening is they're saying that because Stories said that she was 8 and would be 9 at the time that all this went down, that Spoctor could only be aware that Stories was 9 when talking to her, trying to use the fact that she pretended to be 8/9 to make him look like a pedophile. When in reality, the whole reason Pentagrin got involved in the first place was because Spoctor said he didn't believe that she was actually that young. He believed she was much older. So I don't know what you're trying to say here. He never believed that she was 8. Spoctor never believed that Stories was 8. But you did, Pentagrin, because you're a moron. I'm dying to see how Spoctor reacts. Pentagrin just wants to destroy him. She's just an evil, evil woman. Pentagrin is an evil woman. Just pure evil. I don't think I've ever encountered anyone in my entire life as hypocritical, as stupid, and as just completely evil as Pentagrin is. She's just disgusting. Disgusting person. And then she goes on to say, I like the idea that we all block him on all our accounts once we upload this. Yeah, let's not even talk to him before making the video to clarify anything, you know? I talked to freaking Atari before making this video. I would have loved to talk to Pentagrin and Stories, but they dropped off the face of the earth because they're little babies. They didn't want to face the criticism. Atari was the only one that had the balls to talk to me. She owned up to her mistake. You didn't, Pentagrin. You didn't, Stories. Then just block him after you upload your videos? Yeah. Don't even give him a chance to explain anything. You're right and no one else is right. Anyone who disagrees with you is wrong. The other side is wrong no matter what. I'm always right. The other side is always wrong. That's how you think, Pentagrin. Because you're a freaking moron. That's how you think. Never willing to hear the other side. And you've always been that way. Back when I made my video about your stupid comments you left on my video, you just weren't even listening to what I was saying. You're like that with everyone. You don't even listen to the other side. You're right always, and everyone else is always wrong. You shut out anything that isn't agreeing with your agenda because you're an evil person. That's just stupid. You're a dumbass. Here's Stories saying, and like, who the fuck wants to actually side with him wholeheartedly in something as objective as this? It's not objective. All this is is it's screenshots of personal conversations that prove nothing. It's accusations that prove nothing. This is the least objective you can get. All of this is totally subjective. You can believe it if you want, you can disbelieve it if you want, but it is objectively not proof that anything happened. Nothing you've presented has been proof of anything. Absolutely nothing. Here's Pentagrin being evil again. Is it bad that I really want to see what happens to his sub count after this? Yes! That is bad. If you really had good intentions when making this video, Pentagrin, you wouldn't even care about any of that. You would care about stopping a predator. That's what you would care about. You wouldn't care about watching his sub count drop, watching him fall from grace. You would care about stopping a predator and helping the victims and making sure that there are no more victims. But all you seem to care about is watching his sub count drop, watching him fall from grace, because you're evil and you have your own agenda. You hate Spoctor. You want to take him down for reasons that are not good. Here's Pentagrin being a moron. I'll disable the like to dislike ratio. Yeah, let's all do that then. If people see a lot of dislikes, they'll be less inclined to believe us, even though those dislikes would be from rabid fangirls who don't like what they hear. Huh? Are you sure you're not disabling the like to dislike ratio? Because hearing that people don't like your video is what you don't want to hear? Pentagrin? Pentagrin being a hypocrite. Kind of similar to how you just like dropped off of all social media because people were saying things you didn't want to hear, like the fact that you're wrong and that you accuse someone of a terrible crime falsely. Pentagrin, you moron. This is Pentagrin talking about Spoctor, saying that all he does is just complain about things he does himself. Pentagrin, there's no better way to describe you than that sentence right there. You complain about things you do yourself because you are literally the biggest hypocrite I have ever encountered in my life. All you do is you complain about things that you do yourself because you're a hypocrite. Pentagrin being a dumbass, again. I think we can't overshadow the main point that he sent nudes, though. That's the kicker. Literally nowhere in this chat is there any proof that Spoctor ever sent nudes. And if you look down just a little bit, here's stories admitting that she's been planning this since May a year ago. So that's two. Two have now been confirmed to have been planning this for a long time. So they cannot say, Pentagrin and Stories cannot say that the reason they had so much misinformation was because they wanted to rush their videos out. Pentagrin had been talking about this since January, and Stories apparently had been planning this since May a year ago. So you have zero excuse to have so many holes in your arguments. Atari, on the other hand, there's no evidence that Atari knew anything about these videos before the 17th of April. Atari is the only one who can say that she actually was rushed to get this out. Here's Pentagrin being a moron. I'm having mine under review regardless, talking about her comments on her video, because I'm not having people make jokes and shit. I'm sorry, I'm not uploading a video about pedos and having people comment early and first on it. Wow, Pentagrin, you're really, really self-righteous, aren't you? When you said yourself that you wanted any excuse to go for the throat and that you wanted to drag him down. Yeah, so self-righteous. Not to mention the fact that if you can't joke about something serious like this, why is like half of this entire group just jokes? Here's Pentagrin and Atari and Stories just joking. Just joking for a good long while. You're not gonna have anyone say first on your video because this is a serious topic? For what you say, you had to rush to get it out, you know? It doesn't look like you were too rushed if you're just talking about memes, joking when you're supposed to be talking about a serious situation. Now, this is totally unrelated to the whole thing, but here's Pentagrin being a moron again about something totally different. Might I suggest an HP Pavilion? That's what I use. It's kind of made for rendering and gaming. Since when has an HP Pavilion been made for rendering and gaming? You dumbass! What the hell is wrong with you? HP Pavilion for rendering and gaming. Are you out of your mind? Now here's some interesting words from Stories here. This morning you said you changed face or something. Do you want to talk about that now? I assumed that that was in the entire point of your ARG thing, but I wasn't quite sure what the motive behind that was. Here's the dealio. I joined this community because I knew something was off, and playing Stories was just a cover to get into it. And it looks like I found what my suspicions led me to. Yeah? I originally came here because there was something off about Spoctor. I just felt it, you know? So I had to work from the inside out. Huh, I see. Everything on my channel is a cover, man. I don't even know what to say. Like, this is... Stories is pure and utter evil. Worse than Pentagrin. I didn't even think it was possible. And there's more on how evil she is coming up soon. Just stay tuned. There's a twist. Now here's Pentagrin being a complete and utter moron once again. Y'all know Stories as a character, right? I'm still a minor though, so it's P fucked up. I was 12 to 13 when I started talking to him. So there is Stories telling both Pentagrin and Atari that she was 12 to 13 when she started talking to him. And then Pentagrin says, everyone knows you as 9 though. That's the thing. Atari says, well, Pentagrin says, okay, let me just compare for a second. Had me fooled. Remember To Catch a Predator? Yeah, they used 18-year-olds posed as kids. The people caught in that show were still considered pedophiles because they were under the impression they were talking to someone underage. Pentagrin, you are a complete and utter dumbass. Spoctor never ever believed that Stories was 8. Never. That's the whole reason you got so involved in this. Do I have to say this again? This is like the 3rd time I've told you. So that doesn't make any sense. He was never under the impression that he was talking to someone much younger than him. And then here's Atari coming in with the common sense. God damn it, you had me fooled. If it gets out that you're 12 to 13, then we can't call him a pedophile though. Spoctor rejected the idea that she was 9. Spoctor did reject the idea that she was 9. Anyone with a brain did. Pentagrin does not have a brain, so she never rejected that idea. Also, here's what Atari says to me also. I asked, was Stories 13 or 14 at the time of the alleged harassment occurred? Because I don't know if she was 13 or 14. Atari said that she was 13 when she started talking to Spoctor, but all she knows is that the alleged harassment occurred after she told him her real age. So not only did Spoctor never believe that Stories was actually 9, but he didn't do any of the harassment until after he already knew her real age. So you're just a moron. Pentagrin, you're a moron. And then Pentagrin says, can I be real for a second? Luke, I have no idea who the hell Luke is. She talks about Luke all the time. I don't know who Luke is. Luke is someone Pentagrin knows. Was caught in a situation like this IRL a few years ago. One of the people we know went down for being a pedophile for having sexual relations when he was over the age of 18 and they were 15. Luke turned legal and he was with a girlfriend at the time who was younger than him. He wasn't considered a pedophile because nothing sexual ever happened between the two of them since he became legal. And then Atari says, this sure as hell just put a dent in our argument. And then Pentagrin has the wise words of, we can still call Spoctor a sexual predator, and that's the label we should be pushing. You're literally propaganda, is what you are, Pentagrin. This is propaganda. Propaganda. Since you like definitions so much, information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. Very misleading words you're using. We can't technically call him a pedophile. We can call him a sexual predator. Here's Pentagrin lying. Once again. My main concern here is what we're going to say though. Stories actually said that she's gonna rebrand and make her content she wants as herself, which then she'll say that she's 12 to 13. So do we still call her 9 or do we call her a teenager? Right, be careful with our words. We, at the time of scripting, are under the impression that she is 9. That's literally false. She literally told you that she was 14 before you posted your script in the chat to be reviewed by Atari and Stories. You're a moron. They haven't even finished their scripts yet. At this point, right, they haven't even sent their scripts to each other yet. When it gets out that she's a teenager, our argument will have a dent in it. At the time this was happening, we were under the impression that she is 9. Under the impression is the key phrase. You're literally manipulating your entire everything. You're just, what the hell, Pentagrin? My God, this is just completely disgusting to see. You're literally, you know her real age. You're trying to make it look like you thought that she was 9 at the time of scripting because you really want Spoctor to look like a pedophile, even though he's not. You really do, because you hate him for no reason whatsoever. You hate him because he didn't believe that Stories was 9, but you did. But now you don't believe that Stories is 9 because it's literally not true. But now you're trying to make it seem like you did believe that Stories was 9 at the time of writing the script, but you really haven't even finished your script yet. So all of this drama is happening because you're an idiot, Pentagrin. That's why. Especially the pedophile one. Okay, I get you. Then don't use that. I say we take those pedophile allegations out and replace them with sexual abuser. They're both awful things to be considered. Sexual abuse is still a horrific crime. We're making these videos to make sure other people are aware of how terrible he is. I think we need to keep that aim as our goal. So Pentagrin realizes, oh, we can't technically call him a pedophile because that would be really bad. So that you saved yourself there with that one. But you still committed defamation, slander, libel. I'll explain those in just a little bit. So Pentagrin is a moron, as we've established, but here's Pentagrin being a moron once again. She says, this one is damning. This piece of evidence right here where Spoctor says, but 14-year-olds can do 16-year-olds. Why is that damning? That's a freshman in high school and a sophomore in high school. It's a freshman in high school with a late birthday who hasn't turned 15 yet, and it's a sophomore in high school with an early birthday who's turned 16 at the beginning of the school year. Why is that such a bad thing? That's a freshman and a sophomore in high school. Why is that? What is so wrong about that? Have you not been to high school, Pentagrin? Have you not seen a freshman and a sophomore dating, a freshman and a junior dating, even a freshman and a senior dating? Oh, heaven forbid. None of that's wrong. They're all high school kids. I don't know why that 14 and 16-year-olds doing sexual things, as long as it's totally consensual, there's nothing wrong with it. You dumbass. Quit trying to make Spoctor look like some sexual predator when it's everything that's happened so far is literally not that. My God. Atari wised up, and if we go up a little bit, Atari did wise up and replaced all the pedophile claims with sexual offender. So good on Atari for doing that. So that's at least one thing that they realized as a group they couldn't accuse him of, was being a pedophile. So they changed it to sexual predator. Here's Pentagrin being a hypocrite again. Surprising. I've had a lot of shit with Spoctor. Ho ho, holy shit. Spoctor is not Spoctor, it's a different person. I just remembered Spoctor was joining a fucking mob against an alleged pedophile not too long ago, despite there being zero evidence. Wow, that sounds like exactly what you're doing, Pentagrin. Trying to call Spoctor a pedophile with zero evidence. You hypocrite. So Pentagrin says, I've also asked a few people if they think it's acceptable to use private screenshots to call out sexual predators, and they were like, yeah, so hopefully we won't have the commentary community on our ass for using private screenshots. Well, how does it feel to taste your own medicine, Pentagrin? Look at all these private screenshots that just completely make you look like a completely evil mastermind. A real-life Disney villain is what you look like. Because you are! You're just an evil person. How does it feel to taste your own medicine, Pentagrin? How does that feel? Here's Atari saying incorrect things again. Okay, so like I'm listening back to my audio where I'm talking about how Spoctor is a pedophile, but he isn't because Stories is 14 and there's a 4-year age gap. Should I cut it out? 14, 15, 16, 17. That's a 3-year gap, but he's not 17 at the time that this all went down. He's 17 now. So that would be a 2-year gap. And I did talk to Atari once again about this. She admits she was wrong, but I'm just saying, like, this is the kind of language that was going back and forth in this group chat. Just misinformation spreading left and right. Why the hell do I have a spoon in my hand? Atari asks Stories, do you have screenshots of the DM where he actually sent nudes? And as you can see, the next message that Story says is, did he delete the contest journal thing? Totally ignored the question. Because she doesn't have screenshots of that, because it probably never happened. And then Atari says, we have an issue. I went to go watch Spoctor's Sav video back, and he did refer to Sav's proper pronouns. I swear he says she a lot. He did at the beginning of the video, but that was before he acknowledged it, and he corrected himself on screen. So, Atari realizes that Spoctor is not transphobic and does use proper pronouns once he is aware of them, but still decided to call him transphobic in her video. Once again, she has since admitted that he's not transphobic, so. Atari posted this image in the group chat. Which girl are you? There are 6 girls there that you can choose from. And then Pentagrin says, LMAO, I saw this in a Facebook group chat, and I replied with, ah yes, the 6 genders. How dare you, Pentagrin, joke about gender? How dare you? That is transphobic. Here's Stories being a moron and being deceitful. I want to get this out there so nobody has to go through what I went through talking about getting her video out. Yeah, so that no one has to go through what you went through. Yeah, like sending him porn and saying that it was your nudes to get him to send you nudes so that you could use that against him. Literally setting Spoctor up. Using Atari and Pentagrin to get what you want, which is to destroy Spoctor. We'll cover that in just a second. I tell you what. Cut the shit, Stories. Cut the shit. You're an evil little mastermind is what you are, and you're being exposed. So here is the whole group just kind of like having a party, having a ball, watching Spoctor's sub count drop like ravenous little animals that they are. They're like celebrating the fact that he's losing subscribers. Someone should keep an eye on how much his sub count flounders. Yeah, Pentagrin. Totally, you're in this for the right reasons, definitely. You think that Spoctor is an actual predator, definitely. You're not just worried about destroying his reputation or anything. Again, someone keep tabs on his subscriptions, LMAO. LMAO, he lost over 220 minutes. LMFAO, burn, baby burn. Dulu has a live count on and it's counting. Kyra is monitoring the sub count on Social Blade. Hell yeah. 2K views in 30 minutes. Burn in hell, lizard biatch. This is just disgusting to see. I mean, honestly, This is horrible. This is just, they're not, it doesn't seem like they're in this for the right reason. I mean, it's just disgusting behavior. OMFG, he lost over 1K. Disgusting, Pentagrin, you're disgusting. Well, you know how this video is done well since it has over 10K views. It's like all Pentagrin cares about is herself. She cares about destroying people she doesn't like and how many views she gets. That's all she cares about, because she's evil. So now in the conversation, we're at the point where Atari's video is up, Pentagrin's video is up, and Stories is working on her video. And Atari tells Stories, after reading her script, I would replace the "when he heard I was older, he started being sexual" part with "as we spoke more." And once again, Atari says that it's because people would freak out over Story's age more so than the issue at hand. And here they are slobbering over his drop in subscribers again. How many subs is he at now, LMAO? Almost 66,000. This really be concrete evidence that a fan base can turn on you in an instant. It is. This whole entire community, whatever the hell this community is called, is one of the worst communities on the internet, if not the worst, because it's true. People will believe anything without evidence. You know, it's disgusting. Everyone just believed that Spoctor was a child predator until the adults got involved, because it's a bunch of kids. They're impressionable kids. Pentagrin says, this is amazing, honestly. A lot of the ones who stay subbed will be dead subscribers. Pentagrin is just an evil person. I mean, I've said that so many times, but it's just everything she says is just evil. It's like an evil mastermind is what it is. It's disgusting. Now, this is at the point where Spoctor releases his apology video. Pentagrin says he disabled comments. Coward. You called it that he was going to leave for a bit. Like you left, Stories. You coward. Yeah, he didn't disable comments. Spoctor told me, he said, I hated when YouTube automatically turned off my comments on my apology video, because we were talking about, you know, censorship with the whole I wanted clarification on the transphobia thing and how he went about and handled it in his Discord server. So he was talking about how he doesn't like censorship and he hated when YouTube automatically turned off the comments on his apology video. I didn't ask him about it, he just brought it up out of nowhere. I said, do you have any proof that YouTube did it and that it wasn't you? The fact that I had to turn it on 3 times without even touching it, there's no way to prove that at all because the video is gone, but I believe Spoctor. It turns out that YouTube disabled the comments on his video because of all the hate that he was getting. And YouTube does do that. They will disable comments automatically when you're getting a lot of nasty wording in the comments. There are people telling Spoctor to do terrible things to himself. If all the comments are like that, YouTube will disable comments automatically. So I do believe that's Spoctor when he says that YouTube disabled comments for him. So Pentagrin, you're a moron. He didn't disable his comments. YouTube did. But you, Pentagrin, disabled your comments, or held them under manual review rather, so you could only approve the comments that fit your agenda. You like to be very misleading. Any comments that don't agree with your agenda, you would decline to have them show up in your video. How can you say that Spoctor is bad for disabling comments, even though he actually didn't, it was YouTube, when you did the same thing yourself? What you did is worse. You not only disabled comments, but you only allowed comments that you liked to be shown on your video. That's just misleading as hell. So don't even start with, I have the moral high ground here. Don't even start with that. You're worse. So at this point in the timeline, Ponder Sprocket appears. Her video hasn't gone up yet. This is April 20th, but Ponder's making some waves. Atari says, looks like Ponder is against us for some reason. IDK, why though? She says our videos lack context. Our videos weren't meant to be cinematic masterpieces. They were meant to show that Spoctor is a sexual predator. I believe Atari when she says that, but for Pentagrin and Stories, there is no excuse. There is no excuse, because you've both been planning this for a long time. I'm so frustrated over this. Can I fucking die? Yeah, Pentagrin, because you were proven wrong. You moron. Of course you're frustrated over it. Rather than admit defeat and apologize like Atari did, you ran. Here's Pentagrin saying he admitted it. Fucking Christ. Admitting to committing a crime has no bearing on whether the crime actually happened. I can say right now that I killed my dog. Does that mean that I actually killed my dog just because I admitted to it? No. It doesn't mean that at all. The truth is the truth. Just because he admitted to it doesn't mean that he actually did any of it. The reason that Spoctor gave me for admitting to everything was because that's what all of his friends told him to do. They said, don't even try to defend yourself, just admit to it. He was under the impression that if he tried to defend himself, it would make him look even worse. In my video, where I explained how he was innocent, I agreed with him and I said that it would have made him look worse. Now, after watching JACKOON's video on the issue, I think he should have defended himself. I think he should have. But either way, that's what he was under the impression of. That's why he admitted to it, because he felt like he had no other choice. That doesn't mean that it's true, Pentagrin. You're a moron. You're a dumbass. And she says, yeah, okay, the video is flawed. Wow. So Pentagrin admits to the video being flawed. That's the only response Pentagrin has ever given about her video, was that it was flawed. So thank you for that feedback, Pentagrin. Fucking Christ, like, it's like I made mine ASAP to warn people. Wow. No, you didn't. You were planning this since January. It's now April 20th. It's the end of April. You were planning this since the beginning of January. You had ample time, you dumbass. Pentagrin just lies left and right to cover up how horrible of a person she is. So Atari posts the video in the chat. She says, I just got done listening to the video, or at least my part. She spends the first 15 minutes talking about my video. She brings up a lot of shit that I actually do agree with. Atari is the only one who is reasonable. And here's some more interaction of Atari trying to tell everyone, hey, we should maybe listen to Ponder's video, and everyone's saying, no, I think we're right because no one else is right because we're evil. Sori says, second video, either way, it really rubs me the wrong way. I can't explain it. And Atari says, what do you mean? I think she's just giving us criticism. Yeah, it's criticism, and I got you, but I got a wrong mix of feelings in my gut about this. Yeah, I think you're just an idiot, Stories. I think you're just not admitting that you're wrong. I think that's what's going on here. The title of this screenshot is, Pentagrin beginning to feel backed into a corner and throwing a temper tantrum.png. Dude, I fucking love how the criticism towards this is, he made bad decisions, W, semicolon, W, semicolon. And it's like, okay, if he is capable of doing that, then we also are. Those criticisms are bad, and the people hurling them around should feel bad. Shit like that goes both ways. The fucking Tumblr claps, get those out of here, your disgusting humor. People harping on over the law, and it's like, okay, sure, you can forgive him because he made some mistakes, ooh, but you'd also have to forgive us for making less serious mistakes, ooh. It's called precedent, sweetie. It's an important part of the law, ooh. I think you meant sweaty there. But Pentagrin, the mistakes that Spoctor made were so minor, and every single teenager makes those mistakes. The mistakes that you made were falsely accusing someone of being a sexual predator. That's the mistake that you made. No, we cannot forgive you for that mistake. What do you mean? What do you mean? We can't forgive you for that mistake unless you apologize and admit that you were wrong like Atari did. I'm not gonna forgive you for that. You cannot equate his mistakes, which are very minor and small, to your mistakes of falsely accusing someone of being a sexual predator. Those are two different degrees of mistakes, you moron. Pentagrin, being an idiot again, isn't trying to accuse someone of defamation. Defamation in itself, it is defamation if what you're saying is not true. Defamation is only defamation if what you're saying isn't true. If Spoctor was actually a sexual predator, then you would not have committed defamation. But you have committed defamation because Spoctor is not a sexual predator, and you have defamed him. Accusing you of defamation is not defamation in itself because it's true. It's not defamation if what you're saying is true. It literally says you can't be defaming, you mean defaming, you dumbass, someone if the claims are true. Defamating. And we all know it's true because he admitted it. That doesn't mean that it's true, you moron. I've already explained this. Just because he admitted it doesn't mean that it actually happened, you ignorant moron. It is literally not true that Spoctor is a sexual predator. You have committed defamation. Saying that you committed defamation is not defamation because it's true. You have committed defamation, Pentagrin. And on top of that, you've also committed slander and libel. You like your definitions so much, let's look up some definitions. Pentagrin, let's look up some definitions, shall we? Defamation, the action of damaging the good reputation of someone. Slander or libel. You've committed defamation. Slander, the action or crime of making a false spoken statement damaging to a person's reputation. That's 2 crimes you've committed, Pentagrin. 2 crimes right there. Now let's look up libel. A published false statement that is damaging to a person's reputation. A written defamation. You've committed 3 crimes, Pentagrin. You've committed defamation, you've committed slander, and you've committed libel. And me saying that you've committed that is not defamation because it's fucking true. None of us use the word pedophile. Well, in this chat, I remember explicitly stating to Atari not to do that anyway. It's a big accusation to throw at someone, and we decided not to. Well, you still decided to accuse him of being a sexual predator. That's a big accusation. So here's Atari talking about Sprocket saying that a second video would be out in May and that she was gonna take the piss in that one, which I'm assuming means she's just gonna make a satire video about the entire thing. Ah yes, because joking about accusations like this is a respectable thing to do, oh well. What about making accusations that are false? and literally saying, I'm looking for any excuse to go for the throat. I want to drag him down. Is that a respectable thing to do, Pentagrin? Pentagrin being a hypocrite once again, you dumbass. So here's Pentagrin talking about, like, disappearing, all right? Gonna be a lot more isolationist when I get back on YouTube, though. I'm just gonna keep making art content, lamau. Not get involved with anyone, not talk to anyone, IDK. Kinda tempted to make a server until then, just so people don't get worried. Spoctor drama isn't gonna keep me away from doing my passion, TM, if you want. I'm just burnt out, honestly. I just want to do my own thing, and what I was doing wasn't my own thing. No, Pentagrin, you've been proven wrong, and you don't want to accept it. What do you mean? You want to be isolationist? No, you want to avoid criticism, is what you want to do. That's what you're doing right now by hiding. You're avoiding criticism. I know that you are watching this video right now. I know that you're watching this. I know that you saw my tweets because that's the day that you disappeared completely and stopped talking to anyone. But I know that you are lurking. I know that you're watching this and you're hiding because you're a little baby, because you don't want to admit the fact that you're wrong. I want you to make a video, Pentagrin, explaining all of this. I want you to. I want to see you try to explain all this. Dude's username begins with a V. They were the only person I actually spoke to about the accusation, the pedophilia accusation. And if it was them recording, I was unaware because I was under the assumption that it was a private Skype call. So about these laws we were apparently breaking, stories, you want to remind everyone how it is literally illegal to go record conversations without consent. Also, lying about me saying I was aware it was being recorded is defamation, ooh. Pentagrin, you're a goddamn moron and you're a goddamn hypocrite and you're just disgusting is what you are. First of all, I'm going to explain what she's talking about. Apparently there was a call that she was in talking about the pedophilia accusations she, as in Pentagrin, was in, and it was recorded without her consent is what she says. All right. She says it was recorded without her consent. But here's the deal. It's not illegal to record a call that you're having without consent. In some cases, it is illegal in some cases, but in some cases it's not. Is conference call recording always legal? The short answer is yes, but there's some gray area too. I'm gonna put a link to this website down in the description. So basically what happens is if all the callers in a conference call, in a 2-person or more call, are within one state in America, the state's laws apply. But since Pentagrin lives over in Liverpool for whatever fucking reason, and this person that she was talking to lives in another country, I'm assuming America, I don't know, it is not illegal to record the call. Now, there are variations in consent laws from state to state, and in most cases, the law of the state that the callers reside in will be in effect. However, if your conference call includes callers from multiple states or multiple countries, we enter a gray area. Most legal experts agree that in these cases, federal law applies, and only one-party consent is required. One-party consent means one person has to consent to the call being recorded, and that can be the person who records the call. So if the person you were talking to was Dulu, and they consented to the call being recorded and they recorded it themselves, it's totally legal. Second of all, if it was illegal for Dulu to record the call, but he or she, I don't know who it is, gave the call to PonderSprocket to use, PonderSprocket would not be in any legal trouble if it was illegal to record that call, because PonderSprocket did not record the call. She was provided the call by someone who was in the call and gave consent to the call being used in Ponder's video. So no, the way that Ponder used that was not illegal, and the recording of the call itself was not illegal. You can't argue that you're like, oh, it's someone recorded my private phone call that made me look bad because I accused him of being a pedophile, when that's really not the accusation I want to make publicly, but I have it in my brain, you know? You used private screenshots that Spoctor had. How is that any better, you hypocrite? This is like an anime. I mean, it's just, you're literally an anime villain, Pentagrin. You're an anime villain. Okay, can we make a 2-hour-long video about how it is wrong to record someone's private conversations and send that recording to someone else so they can use it for their own agenda? Pentagrin, you're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. You like to pick one little tiny thing that you think is illegal, and you like to focus on it. You did that with me, with your comments in my video, and then I totally destroyed you. You did that with me. You do that with everyone. You like to focus on one little thing. You're like, oh, I have an angle. I have an angle. I can go after this person with this one angle, even though I'm wrong about everything I say. I have this one angle against them that I can just push this one angle, because literally everything they're saying is right. I need to have one little angle. Pentagrin, you're a moron. You're focusing on the smallest little thing that I've already told you is literally totally legal. You accuse someone falsely of being a sexual predator. PonderSprocket using a call that was recorded without your knowledge, allegedly recorded without your knowledge, is nothing compared to that. Yo, would I have like really talked about that shit to Dulu if I knew that I was being recorded though? No, you wouldn't have, because it literally makes you look bad, because your intentions in your mind versus what your intentions are publicly are two totally different things. Because you're a two-faced bitch. It seems very malicious, that's all I'm saying, man. This goes beyond a misunderstanding. This is lying for your own personal gain, which is exactly what they tried to criticize us for allegedly doing. Yeah, like when you say that you should, you know, lie about how you thought Stories was 9 at the time of your writing the script for your videos, when you actually knew full well that she was 14. You hypocrite! You've lied about so much in this conversation. You're just a big liar. You're a big hypocrite, and it's all for your own personal gain. You like to see Spoctor fall, and you like to see yourself rise in views. And it didn't really work out for you, now did it? How to shoot yourself in the foot 101? That's this video that you're watching right now. It's about you, Pentagrin. It's about you. LMAO, I feel like we should just go to Ponder directly about it. We could get in a call again and talk about it. Man, I'm at uni and I cannot really be bothered. But you can be bothered to make a video falsely accusing someone of being a sexual predator. But you can't be bothered to hear criticism that totally destroys your arguments. Sounds really awesome, Pentagrin. Sounds great. They broke the law whilst trying to sway an audience into believing we did. I love how this is just spinning in a big-ass circle. Once again, nothing that they did in terms of recording your conversation was illegal, but everything you did was defamation, slander, and libel. All illegal. So I don't know what you're saying, Pentagrin. You're just a dumbass. You're a big dumbass. But alas, everyone takes your word as gospel, so what point would it be trying to dispute anything? That was the exact thing I was upset about. What, Pentagrin, like how your audience just believed that Spoctor was a sexual predator when it's literally not true just because you said it's true? Everything you say can be turned around back onto you, Pentagrin. You're the dumbest person I've ever met, and you're also the most evil and most hypocritical. I might note him on DA and just say, listen, have you got a minute to hear me out? But holy shit, this has pissed me off. You know what? If we'd have done the same thing to Spoctor, she'd have boiled us alive for it. You know, I could have went through all my old streams with him and pulled up something he said and just made some lie about him knowing it was being used for a future video. But no, I have the common sense not to do that. Hey girl, where's your evidence that I knew it was being recorded? Hey, ooh, two can play at the evidence game, LMAO. Pentagrin, I've said this once and I'll say it again. You're a fucking idiot. And then Pentagrin says, hi there, I'm not trying to paint you as a bad person, but you literally broke the law by recording a private voice call without one person knowing. Pentagrin is fixated on that one little thing that it wasn't actually illegal. She won't stop talking about it. It's literally not illegal. Can't one be imprisoned for defending a sexual offender? Or am I imagining that? Are you trying to say that you want to get SPROCKET to go to jail? Good luck with that. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. Can't one be imprisoned for defaming someone, calling them a sexual predator when they're not really? Or am I just imagining that? 17 states have criminal libel laws for the web defamation. In Colorado, state law makes criminal libel a felony, carrying up to 18 months in prison and a fine of up to $100,000 for the first offense. Internet libel is a felony in America. I don't know how it is in Liverpool, but you can be imprisoned. Pentagrin, you could be imprisoned. If you lived in America, you would be imprisoned. If Spoctor decided to sue you, you would be imprisoned. And you'd be fined $100,000 if you lived in Colorado. So don't even start with trying to get SPROCKET to go to jail, because you're the only one who would go to jail in this case, Pentagrin. You and Stories would go to jail. And then Story says, like, homie, everyone does bad shit at least once. And then Pentagrin says, granted, I've never sexually harassed people, but this one time I graffitied in a bathroom stall. Might I remind you that that is literally illegal, Pentagrin? That is literally illegal, and you just admitted to it. If you're convicted of a graffiti crime in the state of Nevada, the penalty ranges from as little as a fine of between $400 and $1,000 and serving 100 hours of community service to as much as 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. So if you want to get legal, Pentagrin, if you want to get legal, I have literal evidence that could land you up to 5 years in prison if you want to get legal about it, Pentagrin. But I'm not an asshole. I'm not taking any of this to the law because I'm not a fucking asshole. Story says, like, he said all those things and he agrees that he is guilty. If you defend anything else, then it's no longer about him, it's the argument. And anyone who thinks he's not guilty after that was looking for confirmation bias. The dude said it himself too. You don't think that deciding you're gonna make a video about Spoctor theory before having any evidence and making a group to compile evidence to prove your confirmation bias isn't confirmation bias, Stories? Also, just because he said that he was guilty doesn't mean that he actually is. It's almost as if people can lie. It's like how you accused him of being a sexual predator, but just because you said it doesn't make it true. Here's Stories talking about Ponder's video. She rushed this one because she wanted the fucking people who were in denial to come to her for her confirmation bias. Kind of like how you rushed your video because you wanted people to come to support you for your confirmation bias. Pentagrin says it's like people want that reason to hate us, and now someone has provided a very poor and not very well examined reason. People's hate boners are hard. Kind of like how you wanted a reason to go through for the throat. You wanted any excuse to go for the throat. Don't even try, Pentagrin. Don't even try to make yourself look like the victim here. You're an absolute evil person. Providing you have a charismatic voice, people will blindly believe you. You proved that wrong, Pentagrin, because your voice is fucking stupid and retarded. You have a terrible accent. People blindly believed you. You're not enthusiastic. You're not charismatic. You're annoying to listen to, and people blindly believed you, so you proved that wrong. She phrased the fucking tweet like I'd done something to children, and that's what pissed me off. What if my boyfriend saw that? That could fucking wreck my relationship. Bitch, isn't that what deformation is as well? Well, it's a defamation, you moron. But you did do something to a child. Spoctor Theory is 17 years old. You're 19. You're a grown-ass woman going after a child. What does that sound like to you? Predator, a person or group that ruthlessly exploits others. So, you ruthlessly exploited Spoctor Theory, who is a child. So, by this definition, you are a child predator, Pentagrin. Funny how the tables turn, isn't it? For real, you should just, at this point, go to the police and try to drag her for it as well, referring to Sprocket. Pentagrin wants Sprocket to go to jail. I think that now assholes are defending him. It'd be sweet to get the law involved on all their asses. Yeah, Pentagrin, why don't we get the law involved on your ass? Might I remind you? Defamation, slander, libel, graffiti. Up to 5 years of prison for the graffiti alone that you admitted to doing. You're digging yourself a hole, Pentagrin. You're digging yourself a hole. No one's going to go to jail but you. If this gets taken to the court, no one's going to go to jail but you in stories. So Atari wises up again, says, I don't really want to participate in this drama anymore since I believe I've already stated my piece and done what I've had to do. See, Atari is the only logical one here. If anything, Ponder needs to fucking rethink herself out. I'd pull the old, hey, by defending him, you're letting people send this minor porn. Yeah. Like stories sent Spoctor Theory a minor porn? Stories sent porn to a minor? And you defended it, Pentagrin? Yeah. You're literally the biggest hypocrite, Pentagrin. You're the biggest hypocrite ever. I get that some cases are wrong, but if this was a fucking court case, he fucking pleaded guilty. This isn't a court case, because if it was, you'd go to jail, Pentagrin. If it was a court case, you can retract your plea of guilty. A lot of people will plead guilty to a crime they didn't commit to get a lesser sentence. You're looking for anything. You're fishing for anything that will make you not look like a complete evil mastermind, which you are. You're looking for anything. It's one thing commenting on someone because you don't like the way they review characters, but this kind of stuff is serious and can damage someone to a point of no return. We gave victims a voice and got blasted for it. You mean like how you fucking damaged Spoctor's reputation to a point of no return? You hypocrite? That's exactly what you did, Pentagrin. What is wrong with you? She literally wrote on Twitter that I'm a child abuser. Didn't clarify how. Just let all her followers know that. Thanks a lot. It's almost as if that's deformation. It's defamation, you moron. Might I direct you to this page on Wikipedia, Pentagrin? Child abuse or child maltreatment is physical, sexual, or psychological maltreatment or neglect of a child or children, especially by a parent or other caregiver. It doesn't have to be by a parent or caregiver, and you have psychologically mistreated Spoctor Theory. Do you understand the psychological damage that these false accusations have on Spoctor? Can you even imagine that? Imagine being falsely accused of being a sexual predator when you're freaking 17 years old. Imagine that, Pentagrin. You are a child abuser. You have abused a child. You literally are a child abuser. By this definition of child abuse, you have abused a child. And if we look at the definition of just plain abuse, use something to bad effect or for bad purpose, misuse. Treat a person or animal with cruelty or violence, especially regularly or repeatedly. Cruel and violent treatment of a person or animal. I mean, you abused Spoctor. You treated him with cruelty. You treated him with cruelty because you just didn't like the fact that he thought that Stories was not actually 8. He lost tons of subscribers. You gained tons of subscribers. It could be argued that you did it for your own personal gain and to see him get destroyed. Whether that's true or not, it's impossible to know. She must be stupid if she misinterpreted it because I explicitly stated on the voice chat that it was a PSA and nothing more. Accusing someone of being a sexual predator is not a PSA. That's an accusation. You can't hide behind the word PSA. This is the first time you've brought up the fact that it's a PSA. You never once while making the video said that it was a PSA. You said you wanted any excuse to go for the throat and that you wanted to drag him down. So Pentagrin realizes that she can go down for defamation and decides to look for any little tiny thing that she can use to defend herself. It's a type of defense used when being accused of defamation. You're granted absolute privilege if the following applies. Truth is an absolute defense. It should be noted that truth is an absolute defense to defamation per se. This means that even if the statement would be considered defamatory per se if false, the defendant establishes that it's in fact true, an action for defamation per se cannot survive. Boom. He admitted it's true. There is no case. Accusing someone of making defamatory statements may be defamation if they suffered a loss to reputation because of you accusing them of making defamatory statements, and none of the defenses apply. They didn't actually make any defamatory statements, and you aren't protected by any of the other defenses. Ha, get her for defamation. I did law for 2 torturous years in college. Fight me. I feel like you owe me a cookie. Well, Pentagrin, I haven't studied law at all, but you're completely wrong. And might I point out that you couldn't even get into college, so whether you took law or not, you're not very smart. So this is a lovely little law website. Link will be in the description down below. Here we go. In order to show that qualified privilege protects a certain statement, the defendant must show that the defendant had a good faith reason to believe the statement was true. So you trying to convince Stories to hide her actual true age to make it look like Spoctor was going after a 9-year-old, okay, that just proves you wrong because you had no good faith reason. The fact that you started this whole thing just because he didn't believe the Stories was 8, no good faith. The fact that you said you were looking for any excuse to go for the throat and that you wanted to drag him down, no good faith, all right? The defendant had a personal or professional interest in knowing the information in the statement. Yes, you definitely did. The defendant shared the statement only with others who also had a personal or professional interest in knowing the information in the statement. You did not. You shared it with the whole world. On YouTube. You shared it with people who did not have a personal or professional interest in knowing the information that was false. You shared it with the whole world. There goes your case. You're guilty of defamation, Pentagrin. You cannot use absolute defense as a defense because it doesn't apply to you because you shared it on YouTube. You studied law for 2 years and I can do a freaking better job than you can? My God, you're an idiot. Child abuse accusations are serious though. So are the comments I'm getting on DA about how I'm ruining a child's life. So you are more concerned about people telling you you're ruining a child's life than ruining the child's life in the first place. You freaking evil bitch. You ruined Spoctor's life until the adults stepped in, until SPROCKET, me, JACKOON, Just a Robot, MANGAKAMEN, so on and so forth. Until the adults stepped in, you literally ruined his life. And then here's when Atari decides to leave the situation and does the right thing. All right, Spoctor and I talked it out. We agree that he has shit he needs to improve on still. We also agree that I could have handled the situation better and that I should admit to the flaws of the video. We also agree that we should keep the video up but have it unlisted so people can learn from our mistakes. This is the best thing to do in my opinion since Stories deleted her channel and Penta has hers hidden because they both ran like little bitches. So I'm the only one left. His sexual misconduct in the video still stands as well as his arrogance. However, points like the transphobia and NSFW contest do not. The NSFW contest because he stated not to draw porn for the contest. I'm not going to mention either of you in this video though. I'm only talking for myself. This is really all that I can do with both of you gone. I'm not letting this be the end of my YouTube career. Atari has a freaking brain. Unlike Pentagrin and Stories, Atari has a brain. Atari can at least see when she was wrong, when she's proven wrong. She can accept when she's been proven wrong. It takes guts for Atari to come and talk to me after I made my video where I called her terrible things, you know? I called her a moron. I said really mean things to her. It takes courage to do that. And she did it because she knew that it's right. But wait, there is a twist. I recently came across some screenshots here of a conversation between someone who is supposedly Stories under the name Honeybear was talking to a couple other people. The ranting community was fun for like a month, then I realized something needed to change. The sheep in it were annoying and bothersome. Long story short, I shoved a shit ton of calculated chaos down the drama line and forced everyone to rethink situations and who they follow and look up to. And to answer your question, yes, I have feelings. Sacrifices must be made for people to realize what's wrong with following without question. So basically, the alleged person who is Stories is saying that the reason that she did all this was to make people realize that listening to anything that people say without any proof is bad. Bullshit! You're saying that because you got caught and you're trying to save face. That's complete bullshit. You wanted Spoctor to go down. You did bad things for the better. I could have gone farther. I decided they got the message. You're fucking full of shit, Stories. You're full of shit. Honestly, I don't really see you doing anything wrong. The ranting community itself is attacking people based on people attacking others based on their opinions. Maybe not obviously, but people aren't gonna just start believing shit on the spot now. Stop it. People are gonna question everything now. That's what I wanted. Bullshit! You wanted to take Spoctor down. That's what you wanted. You're saying this because you got caught and you're trying to save face. That's complete bullshit. Don't even try to say that you had an ulterior motive here, you freaking moron. Staying in the community wouldn't have been experimenting and making a message anymore. It would have been me becoming stuck in the experiment. Man, I had like 5 known accounts for a reason. Makes skirting around faster, but it doesn't look suspicious. I kind of feel bad because I did use people. Okay, but yeah, that's kind of a crappy thing to do, but your head was in the right place. And it's not like Spoctor amount of fucked up shit. Kinda? No, general morality says absolutely wrong. It happened to be him, and I ran with it and made him an example. How the hell are your guys' morals not working right now? Maybe we're the sheep. I could have kept it under wraps, but I didn't. Well, she was luring Spoctor out to expose him, but needed people to be foundation. She used Pentagrin and Atari. So you framed Spoctor? Wait. And then she says, well, Jetta, why? So this is their first indication that this is stories. Jetta is who they're referring to. A lot of people, I used Pentagrin and Atari, dude. Why? They don't even know what I've done. Think about it. I pushed Atari and Pentagrin forward as pawns, and society doesn't like it when people do that in general. In hindsight, it was a winged idea that would have kept you know who shut. But oh well. I do feel bad for Jada and Atari. Do they know? I feel more connected with Jada than Atari though. Do they know where or who I am? Atari has only had the slightest clue. Jada thinks I picked up and disappeared. I had someone alert me as soon as everything was starting, and before the dust blew in, I was gone. More like I did some CIA shit, like how my commie friend would call it. Long story short, I twisted the community into knots for my own motives to make everyone question what they're told and who says what. Apparently the CIA baits people out and exposes them, so that's what I did in the long run. I didn't even like Spoctor. It wasn't exactly targeted either. It's like when Thanos says he wants to kill half the population so it can thrive. He's right, but it ain't right to the heart. Now, is this stories or is this not? Great question. I asked Atari about this, and Atari knows one of the people in that conversation, Seagoose500. She asked, is Honey Bear stories? And Seagoose says yes. As you can see, Seagoose was in this conversation with Honey Bear. That is just him saying it. It might not be true, but my frickin' god, that is insane. If that is stories, Stories just admitted to using Pentagrin and Atari. Using Pentagrin, like, Pentagrin is usually the person using other people. That's twist number 1 of 2. The second twist, you know all those videos about Spoctor? Stay away from Spoctor theory, you know? They were originally supposed to be about Digby the goat. I'm not gonna go through what is said here. You can look at that on your own using the link down below, because it's literally all the points they bring up against Digby is just friend drama. That's all it is. Digby said something mean to this person. No, that's all it is. That's all the stuff they have on Digby. It's nothing. It's nothing. It proves nothing. Digby is not a bad person at all. But the reason I'm bringing this up is just because of the fact that they've been planning to take someone down for such a long time. This is just a huge plot twist. It was supposed to be Digby. The Anti-Digbert Collective was created, consisting of Atari, Stories, Pentagrin, and MimiDiggz. And also What the Flup. It's just, this community is insane. You get people who you think are your friend in a group chat called the Anti-You Collective, you know? People you think are your friends are in this. It's just like, it's insane. It's insane. This community is toxic as fuck. So you can go through this yourself and look at it. Once again, everything brought up against Digby is just friend drama. You know, it's nothing. But I would like to point out a couple things here. So Stories in this conversation said, you could possibly get Spoctor in it. He's like mildly supported even though he doesn't like rants. So Stories wanted to get Spoctor involved in the anti-Digby videos. At the time, Spoctor did not like Digby. I talked to Spoctor and Digby about this. Spoctor did not like Digby at this time. That's since been resolved. Spoctor and Digby are on good terms. Everything's good. But at the time, Spoctor did not like Digby. Stories is trying to get Spoctor involved in this, and Spoctor said no. Spoctor did not get involved. Because Spoctor's not a freaking moron. Everyone hates Digby. Everyone in this community. I have no idea why JACKOON streamed with him. I love Digby. Boy, is someone who also smokes the weed. It doesn't turn you into an asshole. You've got to have it in you, LMAO. She just admitted that she smokes weed. That's illegal in Liverpool. That is illegal in Liverpool. You just admitted to another crime. First you have vandalism, and now you have illegal drugs. That's 2 crimes, Pentagrin, plus your defamation, slander, and libel. That's 5 crimes. You want to get so involved with the law, Pentagrin. Pentagrin saying, can I for real just mention that his persona is literally shit-colored, diarrhea-looking ass? You think Digby looks like diarrhea. What about your green, disgusting avatar here? Your disgusting diarrhea green avatar here. You hypocrite. She was like, it's processing, and then proceeded to die and vanish, and I'm sitting here, dick in hand. Excuse me, what was that, Pentagrin? You said dick in hand? If Atari didn't want to hear that, you just committed sexual harassment. Stay away from Pentagrin, right? And take a look at this. This is 3/08/2018. Remember when Pentagrin was working on this whole Spoctor thing in January? Yeah. 3/08/2018. She's still acting like she's friends with Spoctor. I thought I was just a glorified cringe cop channel. LOL. She hearted the comment and said, "No, you're not, you silly goose." Kinda am though. Isn't it amazing how your friends can just kind of like instantly turn their back on you and just destroy you like that? Isn't it just great? Isn't Pentagrin a great friend? Just a great friend. I love Pentagrin. Pentagrin's an amazing person, not an evil little bitch or anything. The most ironic part of this whole situation is right here in what Pentagrin says. All I can say is that he brought this on himself. He had his fucking chances. Stay out of the kitchen if you can't handle the heat. Pentagrin, why don't you stay out of the kitchen if you can't handle the heat? You dumbass. So there you have it. That's the whole frickin' situation. From beginning to end. That's the whole thing. It's a frickin' huge amount of information. All of the screenshots that you saw on your screen, and all the ones that you did not see on your screen. All the screenshots that I have, everything that I have available to me, has been made publicly available using the link down below in the description. You can download all the screenshots. There's hundreds. You can download everything and look through it all yourself. Decide for yourself. Don't take my opinion on anything. Decide for yourself what you think of this whole situation. And to further that, I have invited several YouTubers to give their opinion on the whole situation.
Pentagrin, I've never met you, or really even spoken to you. And boy am I glad! Holy fuck, you have to be the most ghastly bitch on this entire planet. Wow, wow, you pretty much went after Spoctor because you had a personal vendetta against him. Hey, we gotta start compiling evidence against Spoctor. Why? Was it because he was a sexual predator? Was it because he was a manipulator? Oh wait, no. It's because you're just looking for any excuse to go for the throat. Not to mention you've been waiting a while. You really wanted to ruin this guy's reputation just because you don't fucking like him? Because he makes you very mad like the widow baby you are, widow baby Pentagrin? Currently trying to get screen caps for my buddy who has proof of him being a racist and transphobic. Pekka will have a lot of dirt on him as well. Wow, so you guys were digging. Literally fucking digging. And trying to find the tiniest little shred of evidence that may result in Spoctor being a meanie pants because you hate him so much and he makes you so very sad. Little baby Pentagrin! This is dumb. This is so fucking dumb, Pentagrin. You are really dumb. You're dumb. Jesus Christ, you're fucking dumb. You don't have to ruin someone's reputation just because you don't fucking like them. You goddamn bitch. You absolute cunt. What the fuck is wrong with you? How the hell do you even function in society with that toxic mindset of yours? God fucking damn it! Fuck. Pentagrin, you're absolute trash. Pure filth. And honestly, with this fucked up mindset of yours, that is all you'll ever be.
I want to set this straight right now. This is a serious video on a serious matter. I'm not joking, this isn't some sort of prank, and it's something that has deeply disturbed me and a lot of the people I associate with. I don't want this to become some kind of circus where people come forward and start making allegations without evidence. Those people do more harm than good, especially by invalidating those who were personally involved. He'll never admit anything publicly, and he'll always want to save face. He'll start shit and then hide and face no consequences. I'm calling it now. He's gonna go on a hiatus and not say anything about this. You like to pretend you're some autonomous force that can't be reckoned with, and I have to laugh.
Pentagrin, man, I thought you were so cool. But in reality, you're just another fool. You're always seeing yourself in such a high light. But you know, I've been marking you down since that Simply Dad fight, trying to paint the digs in such a bad way. And all you managed to do was dig your own grave. Now you acted all cool in all your vids, but you were just shaking. You're just whining, like all those other kids. Hey, I know Atari likes to sit there. You know, she thinks that you're slick. But in actuality, you're just another Nick. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks. Really appreciate coming on here. Thanks. Really love you all. Thanks a lot. Pentagrin, I'm following you, man. Hey, thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
I've had little experience with Pentagrin. outside of her acknowledgement that she likes my videos being reviews, and after I DM'd her a meme, she proceeded to block me on Twitter messages. So I knew she was going to be a fun and rational person. And upon seeing how Pentagrin tried to lead a gang of misfits to target Spoctor theory, you know, calling him a child predator, you'd think that she would have better fake evidence. Better evidence? What does she have? Well, thank you, dear viewer, for that question. So, the evidence she found are just heavily photoshopped messages from anonymous sources. And that's the best kind of source because you can't track where it came from. But sadly enough, this problem is not going away. And it's putting a Pentagrin on my face. Thank you.
I made a video about stories not being 8 long before anyone else did. Or at least I think I was the first one. I didn't really see any videos before mine, or at least no videos as detailed as mine. And I got comment after comment from people saying, "Why should it matter what her age is? I can't believe you went through all the trouble of making this video. You should accept people at any age. What's the harm in what she's doing?" Well, this is the harm in what she's doing. If she can get people to believe she's 8 years old even though she doesn't sound 8, act 8, and there's a lot of problems with her story, then she'll come to the realization, holy crap, I have the dumbest fan base ever. I can get them to believe anything. Especially Pentagrin. Yeah, she was all cool in my comments section, but then she started talking shit about me behind my back. I should have expected as much. Pentagrin was too much of a coward to say it to my face, and as soon as she started getting backlash on her video, she ran away. Also, oh no, Spoctor said thanks on my video. Oh, the humanity! Wow, he said one word on my video, therefore he endorses it. Oh no, wait, that's stupid. I don't know why the ranting community even thinks that way. Now, I don't have very much evidence to back this next statement up, but if I didn't make my video exposing stories for not being 8, would she use the 8-year-old thing against Spoctor? Doing something to an 8-year-old is 10 times worse than doing it to an adult. I'm just saying in Story's video, she never said she wasn't 8, she just said Stories isn't real. But even if Spoctor was hitting on people half his age, why should it matter? I mean, after all, Stories, you said your age should not be able to define what you can and can't do.
I don't know why this should have any effect on my ideas or opinions. Your age should not dictate what you can be. Or who you are.
I mean, keep in mind, she did do a video, quote-unquote, showing a picture of herself, even though I think she just took a picture of her younger cousin or younger sister, and said it was her. Of course, her fans ate this right up and started telling me that she proved her age and that I was stupid for ever questioning it. She also described me as far right-leaning in her video. Another desperate attempt to discredit me, which is what I constantly see in the ranting community. People saying things with barely any proof that are probably false, but people believe them anyway. They desperately try to discredit their opposition. And the really sad part is I barely pay attention to them. Yet I see this kind of stuff over and over again. I mean, the whole 8-year-old thing still bothers me. How stupid do you have to be to fall for that? I've never heard of this happening in any community except the DeviantArt ranting community. And by the way, guys, bad news about my main channel, it has been hacked. So please subscribe to Just a Robot 2 instead. If you're a hacker and you think you can help me get my account back, please message me.
Hello. What the f did you just say to me, you little hella? I will fury all over you.
Wow. Hey, Trash Comment here. You know, there's a lot to be said for the whole situation that happened in the DA ranter or animation meme or whatever community you want to call it involving Spoctor theory or Spoctor tech nowadays. And there have been plenty of videos talking about it. As it turns out, more information has been made to the public about this. We even had Spoctor himself showing the cut out of context scenes that were used in Pentagrin's and Atari's videos, and stories as well. And I've also seen a few screenshots by Pkrussl who have shown me this, and I have to say that this is much more serious than I thought it would be. I tend to be more respectful to people that I talk about online. That's sort of my own moral right here. I sometimes do a couple pot shots here and there, however from what I've seen...
Each history's greatest monster! Brilliant! Brilliant!
This came off to be more of a coordinated attack than someone messing up a moral argument. I don't know anyone in this whole debacle personally, but from what I can see and what I've been shown, baffles me how you were able to say these lines.
This behaviour is unacceptable from anyone, regardless of their popularity. I don't want this to become some kind of circus where people come forward and start making allegations without evidence. Those people do more harm than good, especially by invalidating those who were personally involved.
And not explode into flames due to the irony is nothing short of a miracle. I think what gets me more is that those who were behind this were manipulative and tried to act like they were angels in this situation. The only one who didn't turn tail and run, and actually took the criticism, was Atari, so kudos to her. She may have screwed up, and I will admit that she did, but at the very least she is trying to make amends for it. Pentagrin and stories? They ran.
I'm gonna get you.
What? A dead end?
Come back here. This guy's gonna get an ass full of pipe wrench.
I realized Pentagrin was planning on deleting her channel ahead of time, but color me skeptical if the timing seems a bit too convenient for me. Tarnishing the reputation of someone you don't like in the scummiest way possible and then deleting everything save for your DA?
Something's not right here.
Yeah, color me suspicious. And while a good chunk of the community around this did speak up and rescind their videos just basically listening and believing initially, this entire situation could have been avoided so easily if people just took the time to think, took the time to look, and not just listen and believe. So, after all this, there's only one thing left to say about this, and to Pentagrin.
I think that says a lot about a person when they stop caring about the legality and repercussions of their actions, and it paints a very bleak picture of them. You want to know what I don't care about, Spoctor? I don't care about you.
What the f*** is this sh**? Who the f*** are you, lady? What the f*** does that mean?
Good God. You know, it's really common that people assume that I dislike them without us ever having spoken before. Not entirely sure why this is so often the case. For the most part, I think it's because people make assumptions about me. I certainly know that Pentagrin does. What with her assuming I sent JACKOON after her to get incriminating evidence, assuming that I was purposely implying that she had done something to a child, assuming that I released the video so quickly because I wanted to get the views, assuming that I'm enabling behavior they disagree with, assuming that I'm pandering to the fans of one side, assuming that claiming a video is meant to be a PSA rather than a threat exempts them from the repercussions of that video's information being wrong, assuming that making a masturbation joke in a video means that you're exposing children to sexual content, assuming that my video meant I thought it was okay to send a minor porn, assuming that withholding evidence isn't a bad thing, assuming that those who have pled guilty cannot rescind that plea, assuming that I like to believe that I silence every argument. Honey, you spoke to me for the first time 7 days ago and haven't spoken to me since. You do not know me. It's one thing commentating someone because you don't like the way they review characters, but this kind of stuff is serious and can damage someone to a point of no return. Yeah, Pentagrin, it is pretty fucking serious. That's why it was so important to get the video out so quickly. Because by the time I'd written my script, 158 videos had been made about Spoctor spewing the exact same evidence and claims without any knowledge of how flawed they were, spreading it exponentially. That's why I addressed it, you stupid motherfucker. I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't have any real concrete opinions on Pentagrin before this shit happened, but I will fully admit that her behavior after the fact has left a sour taste in my mouth, and I now currently think that she's a coward, a cunt, a child, and a dishonest little bitch. And I don't say that very often. Pentagrin, child abuse accusations are fucking serious. Not only in the sense that the potential for child abuse to have occurred is serious, but also that the accusation itself is serious. Because if it's correct, it means child abuse has occurred, and because if it's wrong, it can taint someone's reputation for life, which you fucking acknowledge in the Spoctor chat. The entire problem with your claims was that your evidence wasn't enough to support your very serious claims. But people on the internet, those whom you acknowledge to be your young and impressionable fan base, didn't recognize that, and there and believed what was being said at face value. I've gone through the entire let's take Spoctor down chat, and the fucking gall that you have is astonishing. You revel in people believing you and destroying Spoctor's reputation, proud that people are siding with you, but as soon as I come out with a separate argument, it's suddenly a horrible thing and everybody's sheep and people only believe it because it's Ponder saying it. I'm sorry, how many fucking subscribers do I have? Less than you and Atari? And maybe Stories, I honestly can't remember. Less than Question Turkey too? Well, that's kind of weird. It's almost like I was able to provide a better argument to the evidence provided and the fan base was entirely inconsequential because of that. You'd think that if you were right, your fans would be more willing to believe you on the matter, not some rando who comes in arguing against you. Oh, but victim shaming, victim shaming. Shut your goddamn childish mouths. Nobody is saying anybody had it coming, nobody is saying it was the fault of any purported victims, but when you have morons like Stories flat out admitting that she was baiting Spoctor, both in this chat and in her own fucking video, that calls into question the credibility of the screenshots she provided. And when you have equal morons like Ghosty admitting to actions that are considered blackmail, that calls their evidence into question. You don't just get to scream, oh, but I'm a victim, and not expect your own actions in the situation to be addressed. That's not how the world works, and you'd all better smarten up. Especially you, Pentagrin, because you're the legal adult here. Where was all this gusto and vigor and willingness to argue my point when we were actually in a fucking call together, Pentagrin? When I was chewing you out for the exact same major things I did so in the video. I mean, you yourself said that it wasn't as bad as you thought it would be. Why did it suddenly become a problem when the video was released? I mean, sorry that I discovered more things wrong as I ended up scripting the video itself and actually combing through the evidence. Like, what would have happened had this actually been brought up in any court setting? But apparently, based on what's been brought to light since then, there was more to discover on the matter anyway. Where did I lie in what I provided, Pentagrin? Stories, all I see in your chat is you trying to collect things on me that you think I did legally wrong so you can defame me. Almost like you're pushing all the garbage onto somebody else, which I jokingly stated was the case at the beginning of my video, but by God, you're actually still acting that way, you irredeemably oblivious simpletons. I've never actually come out of a video legitimately hating people that were involved in it, but I do here. I legitimately think that Pentagrin is a horrible, petty person. I legitimately think that Stories is a manipulative liar. Atari, basically the youngest here, has been the most mature out of the bunch, and I completely commend her for that. Good shit. Would draw fan art. Pentagrin and Stories seem like the kind of people who can't even fathom the notion of themselves being wrong, and that's the type of person I've tried to cut out of my life in the past. Why would people who were in the right, who could prove they were in the right, ever run? You cowardly pieces of degenerate trash. Also, Pkrussl, did you put me in a video behind two robo babies? I will scream into the high heavens, you—
Hey there, it's me, Atari, one of the people mentioned in this video. There is no other way to put this. The entire situation with Spoctor has been a complete dumpster fire. All I can say is that I made my video with the utmost purest of intentions, thinking it was for the better of the community to address it, and not out of any hate or spite towards Spoctor or for any personal gain, as hard as that may be to believe. However, I don't think my feelings were mutual with Penta and Stories from what I have seen after all of this happened. I've completely acknowledged all of my mistakes and misinformation, and I think that I deserve to be criticized for that, since there's no one to blame for any of that but myself. They, however, at the time of me recording this, have not. And I unfortunately don't think they ever will, and if they do, it's probably gonna be way later. The reason why I made my video in the first place was because I trusted Penta and Stories. They were my friends, so I wanted to help out. However, they, more so Stories, deceived me, and once everything backfired, they left, completely leaving me alone to take the brunt of the blame and handle the situation all by myself. I don't think that they realized that their actions taken were gonna have consequences some way or another, and I think that it was incredibly cowardly to just up and leave once shit hit the fan. To be completely fair though, Penta left a day before Ponder's video, which was the first counter-argument video. She told me and others that it was because of school and her personal life, and she hasn't said anything else besides that, so I can't completely say that she left because of being criticized over the Spoctor drama. Regardless, I've been hearing and seeing a lot of screenshots of Penta being deceitful, and same for Stories, and I can honestly and genuinely say that I had no idea that either of them were like that. I used to defend Penta, saying I thought she was super courageous for not taking anyone's shit and standing up for herself, but after seeing how she handled the situation, I can't seem to feel the same way anymore. Stories also literally admitted that she just used Penta and I am absolutely done associating with her, period. I feel absolutely disgusted and ashamed in myself for ever defending her. Penta, on the other hand, I'm just disappointed in. I don't think that her tactic of isolationism during this was a good idea or a good way to handle it, period. People don't generally like people who stir up some big drama and then vanish or refuse to talk about it anywhere. I'm gonna give her a chance to explain herself and make some sort of statement before I stop associating with her. However, that doesn't mean that I condone her actions. I've learned a lot about myself here too. I need to stop being naive and not just immediately take what my friends say as fact and put in the effort to look at things from an unbiased perspective and take the time to put in research and context before making claims as huge as I had. I've learned what I had to from the situation, and I'm going to use the knowledge acquired to not only improve my content, but improve as a person as well for the future. As for Spoctor and I, we're on good terms. When he made his first defense on Twitter, where he showed that Stories was encouraging his behavior, I immediately went to talk to him about it and we cleared things up. Stories happened to leave out a lot of context. Like, a lot. But after hearing his side and the criticism acquired from others, I decided that the most mature thing to do would be to own up to the situation and admit that I was at fault. Since, again, there is no one else to blame for spreading misinformation but myself, and I deserve to be criticized for it. I think that while the allegations don't really hold much weight anymore, Spoctor still has some things that he needs to work on. I'm not going to be showing any private screenshots, but when we talked about it, he said that he still has a lesson to learn. A personal one. And I do too. So, yeah, this entire situation was terrible. Things could have been handled way better, and I sincerely regret and apologize for any misinformation I have spread through this. Thank you, PK, for actually hearing me out and seeing my side, and thank you for letting me have a chance to explain my side on this as well.
This is insane. We saw people's friends turn on them, you know? Anyone you think is your friend, you have to really think long and hard about it. They could be in a group behind your back dedicated to digging up evidence against you. This community is totally disgusting. Everyone hates everyone. Pentagrin is a complete hypocrite, an absolutely evil person, disgusting person, and Pentagrin should be ashamed. Stories is even worse. Stories is the absolute most evil person I've ever encountered in real life. Stay away from Pentagrin.